Hi guys, and welcome to Escape Wheel Watch Reviews. My name is Steve, and today we're going to be reviewing the 2023 Phoibos Wavemaster GMT. I received this watch for free. I don't have to send the watch back, but you guys know the deal by now. It's not going to sway my review one way or another. You're always going to get my honest review on this channel, and I have to apologize for anyone that has been waiting for this review. I was supposed to get this watch back in October, and the watch got stolen in transit, never arrived. Phoibos thankfully understood. They sent another watch out to me and just kind of got lost in the 11/11 holiday shuffle, and I'm just now getting to this one. So sadly, one of the colorways that I'm about to show you is already sold out. Everything else is of limited stock, so if you want this thing, you're going to have to act pretty quick. So as always, if by the end of this review you do want to pick one of these up, I'm going to be leaving a link down in the video description. That's not an affiliate link or anything like that. That just takes you to the Phoibos website, and you can pick out the colorway of your choice. The retail price for this watch is $385 US. That's before any taxes, sales, coupons, or anything like that. I think Phoibos does participate in some sales here and there. I just don't really know when they are. Hopefully maybe during Christmas you can get one. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. The watch comes in 5 different colorways that you should see on screen now. That purple dial looks amazing, but sadly everyone else thinks the same thing, and that one is currently sold out. Like I mentioned, all the other colors are available. They are just of limited stock. The watch case is made of 316L stainless steel. It has a sapphire crystal, a ceramic bezel insert, screw-down crown, screw-down case back, 200 meters of claimed water resistance, and the watch is powered by the NH34 automatic GMT. 2023 has been the year for affordable GMT watches. I think we can all agree with that. The new seiko movement is amazing. Everyone loves it. I love it. I've got no problems with it at all. Phoibos loves it. So yeah, has Phoibos done anything to kind of stand out from the crowd of automatic GMTs now? And is the watch any good? Hopefully I can answer those questions for you by the end of this review. So yeah, I say we get right into it. Before we do a quick wrist check today, wearing the Ixtao Engineer. Absolutely fantastic watch. If you haven't seen the review for this, right up there, you can go check it out. All right, so let's get into the dimensions. You got a diameter of 40.1 millimeters. 12.5 millimeters thick, 20 millimeter lug width. Lug tip to lug tip is 46.3 millimeters. The overall length is 52.1 millimeters. And the watch sized up for my 7.5-inch wrist with 2 links removed weighs 168 grams. So the watch itself, I think the dimensions are fine. I feel like it wears a little bit smaller than that 40 millimeters just because of the tidy lug to lug. 12.5 millimeters thick is not a bad dimension at all. You've got nice turn down to the lugs there as well. So overall, I am pretty satisfied with the way this thing wears. It's 168 grams, so that's kind of my big gripe about the size of it. It weighs a lot. I think a lot of that is in this bracelet, but it doesn't feel bad on wrist at all. It's very balanced. So yeah, I think it wears pretty good. I'm going to go outside right now and throw it on my wrist for you. And here we are on my 7.5-inch wrist, and as you can see, it wears really good. The dimensions on this thing are just about spot on for my wrist. I really like it. Very short lug to lug, little bit of turn down to the lugs there as well, so it does hug the wrist nicely. It feels very balanced on the bracelet as well, and we'll talk about that later. But yeah, I think it looks really good. And here we are in a little bit of sunlight here. You can see it does get a little bit washed out, but for the most part, no issues reading this thing. There's air coating on the crystal, so it keeps the dial nice and legible. You can see that kind of pop of blue on the hands there and the indices is really interesting, the Lume color on this thing. But I do think it looks actually pretty good. But yeah, overall, I think it's very comfortable. I've got no real complaints with the way this thing wears. I say we go throw down some straps and we'll get back to this review. And here we are on an orange Barton silicone strap. I think the color match is pretty good. And that does look really nice, very comfortable, as you can tell there. And yeah, very summery setup, and I like it a lot. And I think this thing just looks awesome on a tropic strap. I will say, very tight clearances in between the lugs there with the straps. So any thicker straps are going to be hitting the case. So yeah, definitely a problem on this strap here. But I actually think it works on a tropic strap just because of the flat sides, which I'm usually not a fan of, but they get hidden pretty good on this one. So yeah, I do kind of like this strap on here. And here we are on a single pass chevron from Crown and Buckle. Obviously a great color combination. I think it looks really good. I will mention it once more that the clearance between the spring bars and the case was really tight. I almost wasn't able to get this one on, and this is a pretty thin strap. So yeah, the clearance there is pretty darn tight. And lastly, here we are on a ribbed nylon strap in black. 2 layers underneath the watch there. You can see it sits up a little bit, but really not that bad. Still very comfortable and looks pretty good. All right, let's go back inside and let's get back to this review. All right, so let's talk about the case finishing. So the case is done pretty nicely from Phoibos. As you can see here, it is a mixture of brushed and polished surfaces. You have vertical brushing on the tops of the lugs there, nice and fine brushing, horizontal brushing on the case sides there. Again, nice and consistent. That's the thing with Phoibos, always very nice and consistent. It's got a nice sheen to it, really sharp transitions on that polished chamfer. That chamfer does run all the way underneath this bezel here and back around to the other side. So very happy with that. Flipping it over to the crown side here, you can see that continued horizontal brushing, and then you've got a nice signed Phoibos crown there with the octopus. I think it looks really, really cool. You kind of have almost a bead blasted crown here. Really sharp teeth on that thing, so you got plenty of grip on it. Yeah, it's really, really nice done. I've got no real complaints with the case finishing on this at all. Flipping it to the case back here, you can see, again, we've got that really cool Phoibos octopus there. Really nicely done. Spec sheet around the outside. This is all done pretty nice. I don't notice any discomfort on wrist, but when I'm sliding it on my wrist, sliding it, over top of my skin, this outer edge here, you can definitely feel it's a little bit sharp. That's just something I notice while I'm putting the watch on. Once it's on wrist, I don't notice it at all. So yeah, just thought I would mention that's my only real complaint, is that those letters there are just a little tiny sharp. Simple notches to get a tool on there to get the case back off if you need to. This bottom edge is nicely rounded off. It's a pretty comfortable watch on wrist. I've got no major complaints with it on wrist, other than the weight. It does kind of get a little bit tiring over the course of a full day. So, but yeah, very happy with the watch itself. All right, turning our attention to the bezel. So we have a ceramic bezel insert, 24-hour insert. It is fully lumed. We'll get to the lume shot here in just a little bit. Really nicely done though. Obviously just simple black and white printing. The bezel action, very nice. You got plenty of grip on that coin edge there, as you can see. Really a good bezel. I don't even want to say there's play in it. I can feel it. You can barely see it. The alignment is spot on. But this is a 24-click bidirectional bezel. So really nice and snappy action. Yeah, it sounds good. It feels good. It's exactly the bezel you want on a watch like this. I got zero complaints with it. Really, really nicely done. All right, so let's talk about the crystal on this thing. First things first, we'll test it for sapphire. You can see it is positive for sapphire. And Phoibos claims that they put 3 layers of anti-reflective coating on it. I think it's pretty good. They can definitely use a little bit more. I've seen a nicer crystal, but it's not a negative of the watch at all. It's just a dead flat piece of crystal, as you can see there. It doesn't really sit above the bezel at all. But yeah, really nicely done. I'm happy with the amount of AR coating on it. Obviously more is better, but yeah, it's not a negative of the watch, like I said, at all. All right, so let's talk about the dial on this thing. So the dial is done really, really nice, as you can see here. Getting up real close, you can see a nice fine wave texture. That's where the Wavemaster comes from. Really, really nicely done. You got that double baton at the 12 o'clock, single batons at 3 and 9 o'clock, date at 6 o'clock. Really nicely done. Simple cutout, but nicely centered in there. You get your 200 meters automatic, and then your Phoibos octopus there at the 12 o'clock position. All the printing is done very nicely. You have a black GMT hand, which is interesting. I've kind of figured they'd throw a pop of color in there, but I'm glad it's black. It really looks good, and it stands out against that bright orange dial. You got your chapter ring around the outside there with your 24-hour minute, so you can time 3 different time zones with this watch, which is pretty cool. Not something that I typically like to do or need to do, but it's nice to know that I can possibly do that. Really nice handset. You can see the minute hand is just a flat hand there. It doesn't have any faceting, but the hour hand does have a facet. Really interesting that they chose to do that. But yeah, I think the hands work really nice, big and bold, nice length as well. You've got that lollipop counterbalance there. The lume on this watch is very good. You can see that is definitely a blue tint to the lume. Usually when you color or tint lume, you kind of lose some of the brightness. They say that they've put on 15 layers of superluminova dark blue on the hands and indices. So yeah, this is, I guess, a new lume color that I've never known about. It glows just like BGW9. So I'm going to pop up a Lume shot here. You can see it against a couple other watches in the collection, and it definitely holds on. It's a pretty strong application of Lume, nice and even. It does start to fade, but after the other ones do as well. So this is one of those watches where you can grab it in the middle of the night and you can still read the time pretty easily. So I am really happy with the Lume on this watch. All right, so let's talk about the movement in this thing. So like I mentioned earlier, it is the Seiko NH34 automatic GMT. This is how mine has been running. Can't really complain about that. Maybe a little bit high on the beat error, but yeah, -2 seconds a day. I'm not going to complain about that at all. The movement is a workhorse movement. It's going to do everything you need it to do and nothing extra. It is hacking, hand winding, roughly 40 hours of power reserve, 21,600 beats per hour. So that's 6 ticks of the second hand every second. Quick set date. And then you've got your GMT hand, which is independently adjustable. And we'll show you that here right now. All right, so the movement is operated by this 3 o'clock. Again, it's nicely screw down crown. You unscrew it, really nice screw in and screw out action, very smooth. Get a pretty satisfying pop out of the crown as well. This first position is your hand winding. It feels just like any other NH35, really nice and solid as well. Pull it out to the second position. This is where you set your GMT hand and your date. So you roll it forward. You get nice solid snaps right into place with that GMT hand. I'm very satisfied with this movement, and this is no different than any other one. Rolling it back here changes your date. As you can see there, nice alignment on this as well. Looks pretty much spot on. So very happy with that. Pulling it out to the third position, that hacks your movement. This is where you set your time. Everything functions as it should. Pushing it back in, engages the second hand right away. Yeah, screw in action like I mentioned, really nice. Guys, can't complain with numbers like that and with action like that. It's very solid. I'm very happy with it. All right, so let's talk about the bracelet on this thing. So the bracelet is done pretty nicely. It is 20 millimeters and it tapers down to 18 millimeters at the clasp. You can see here we've got screw pins for adjusting. I removed 2 for my 7.5 inch wrist. The links themselves, they are fully solid links, 5-link bracelet. You can see they're kind of flat on the top. It's kind of got an engineer style look to it. Really nice though. You can see there's the tolerances, pretty solid tolerances. It's not super jangly. And it's really just, it's a comfortable bracelet. I've got no real complaints with it. This bottom edge here, not overly sharp at all. The end link fitment, really nice and tight in there. I can feel it, but I can't see a gap in there at all. So I'm pretty happy with the end link fitment. The end links themselves, they do protrude a little bit. You know, that overall length is going to be a problem for some people, but yeah, I'm not too fussed by it. They do turn down pretty nicely. I just think they kind of look a little funny, right? They could definitely make these flat to kind of go with the rest of the bracelet. They're a little bit too rounded for me, but they're nicely done in my opinion. They just could have spent a little bit extra time kind of sculpting those and doing them a little bit better. Obviously, I'd like to see female end links. That would kind of put this over the top for me. But as it is, they're not bad. It's just not my favorite style of end link there. And I did mention this in the strap show, but I'm going to mention it here as well. The spring bars that they use, they're nice high quality spring bars, so good on Phoibos for using some nice spring bars, but they're really close to the case. So any pass-through strap, any thicker aftermarket strap, it's going to be a tight fit. So just something to note. Getting back to the bracelet itself, again, it is really nicely done. Working our way to the clasp here, you have your Phoibos logo. It's just a pressed outer shell, kind of a letdown there. This watch, I think, deserves a little bit nicer of a clasp. Thankfully, everything functions fine. The inner bits, they are milled there, so you got nice tight tolerances here. This thing opens and closes, no issues at all. You got 3 levels of micro adjust there. The clasp itself, it's just nothing special, but yeah, it functions completely fine. So yeah, I think the bracelet overall is pretty nice. I just wish they would have done a little bit different, these end links here. So there you go, guys. That is the Phoibos Wavemaster GMT for 2023. I'm hoping they get a restock of these things. That purple dial looks fantastic. I really do like this orange dial. Even that white dial looks pretty cool. I was kind of concerned with those blue indices and blue hands, but I think it turned out pretty nice. I think I'd probably like this better if it was just white, but I do actually kind of like the blue. It's interesting. And then it's something a little bit different. So I think the execution on this watch is it's up there. It's really, really well pulled off by Phoibos. You get a nice original design, 3 time zone GMT. Everything is done very nicely. Killer lume, good crystal, really solid bezel action. a decent bracelet as well. Yeah, not too much to complain about at that $385. I know some people are going to bark at that. This is, I put this up there with San Martin as far as the quality goes. Maybe not quite up there. They do provide a nicer bracelet. But as far as the lume goes, as far as the bezel action goes, the fit and finish of this watch, it's right up there. So, yeah, I think Phoibos offers a really good value for money. And I think a lot of other people kind of agree with that. That definitely shows with the sales of this watch. This one's done very well for them. So I think if you guys are interested in this, you're going to want to act pretty quick. Maybe pick one up right before Christmas. I think that's it for me, guys. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya.